If you want to learn how to cook this delicious meal of scalloped potatoes with tomatoes and chili anchovies, then just keep watching. Comfort food at its best. Hello and welcome back to Chairman Dave's Culinary Creations. Today we're going to be cooking a real comfort food dish. It's scalloped potatoes with tomatoes and chili anchovies. So let's get started and have a look at the ingredients you're going to need for this. Okay, so here's what you're going to need for today's meal. So we need 800 grams of potatoes, 2 green peppers, capers, 2 tablespoons of those, 2 tablespoons of oregano and 2 tablespoons of dill, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, a tin of tomatoes, 200 millilitres of white wine, and I'm using in this case a packet of marinated anchovy fillets with chili. So if you're not able to get these, you could just use ordinary anchovy fillets, and you can just put in either some chili powder or some chili flakes, or if you don't like the kick, just leave the chili out altogether. Entirely up to you on that score. So we're going to get started. The first thing I need to do is move these out of the way a little bit, and then I can start by cutting up the green peppers. So and then and I always take this pith out, the white pith, because it can add some bitterness to the food. So if you really want to get rid of that, put that over here, out the way. And the other one. So if you enjoy these recipes that I show you, then I'd be really grateful if you would maybe tell your friends and get them to watch as well, because if I can get some subscribers, that all helps the channel to grow, and the more people that watch, the better. What I'm going to be doing for future recipes is a variety, so some more, maybe a bit more complicated, but I'll also be doing some easy and simple recipes, ones that either have very few ingredients or are cheap to cook, or I am probably also going to do a range of recipes where you can cook the meal in 30 minutes or less, for those of you that are busy and don't really have a lot of time to spend in the kitchen. So what we're going to do now is just chop these up, because I just want small pieces here. And while you're preparing all these vegetables, don't forget to warm up your oven. You're going to need to set it to 180 degrees or 160 if you're using a fan oven, and that's centigrade if anyone's watching from America. Not that you set it to 180 degrees Fahrenheit, otherwise you'll end up with a cold dinner. So I'll just turn on the hob, because I'm going to have to fry these in a minute. And this is also a 1-pan dish. So basically we're going to start the ingredients off on the hob by frying them, and then using the same pan we'll put that into the oven to bake, to finish off. So you can use two. You could use a frying pan and then transfer it into an oven dish if you wanted to, but if you have got something which is suitable for going on the hob and in the oven, then obviously that's so much easier for you. which is what I'm using today. So let's got those. So I'm going to need about a tablespoon of olive oil in the pan to fry these up with. Yeah, they can all go in. And start to fry those nicely. And while they're frying, we can now take the potatoes. I've already washed them, and we're just going to slice them thinly. So I'm doing it with a knife, but you could, of course, if you've got a mandolin and you don't mind having really thin slices, you could do it that way. Oh, don't want that. It's a bad bit. So let's give that a nice stir. I've got green peppers on a medium-high heat, I suppose you'd call it. As I said before, my hob has numbers and it goes from 1 to 14, which doesn't directly correspond to any particular temperature that I can tell you. That's just the way it's done. But I'm using at the moment setting 9, which is somewhat over halfway around the dial. So, now the type of potato you want to use for this is a waxy potato. Ideal one would be Charlotte or something similar. I'm not sure what these were. I couldn't get any Charlotte, so I picked all that they had available in the supermarket, which were these, but they look to be okay, so I think we'll be fine with this particular variety. You don't want a floury potato because that will just fall apart when you're cooking it in the oven, and you'll end up with a lot more mush rather than sliced potatoes, which is what we want as a finished item. Okay, so that's those done. Now, what I'm going to do is just wait for a few minutes until the peppers have started to cook nicely, and then we're going to add all these other ingredients into the pan. Okay, so that's got these peppers softened up nicely. So now we need to add the rest of the ingredients in. So we'll start with a nice pinch of pepper in there, and then the tin of tomatoes can go in. We need to mix all these things together nicely. Now, you do not need any salt in this recipe because there's plenty of that in the anchovies. So I can put in the capers, the rest 3 tablespoons of olive oil, the wine and the dill and the oregano. Now we're going to mix all that together for the minute and reduce that down slightly by turning up the heat for a minute. It's just to get it, just really, well, not reduce it, but just want to get it warmed up and mixed in. And also the anchovies then, I'm going to put some of them in now. So let's turn that heat down a bit. So just distribute them around a little bit in there. Now I'm going to put the potatoes in. So you want to get these just basically, we want to get the that mixture on all the potatoes. So we'll stir them up in a minute, mix everything up together. But I don't want the potatoes all stuck together. So let's give them a bit of a stir. Get some of those potatoes down into the sauce. That's it, and then put some more on. You do have to like the flavour of anchovies, really. I think if you're going to eat this, it's one of those things, some people love it, some people hate it, and I suppose others would be just indifferent to it. Me, I like it. I think I often have anchovies on pizzas if I ever go and eat one. So, okay, let's get the rest of these in. There we go. Right, that's it. The rest can go in there. So my oven's up to temperature. So we'll just get those mixed in nicely. Here we are. That's looking good. Okay, and the rest of the anchovies can go in. So if you're wondering, there were 200 grams of anchovies in this pack. You don't have to use that many in this recipe. I happen to love the taste of them and I don't want to waste them, so that's why they're all going in. And I'll confess I've never before found these ones, which are marinated in chilli, so I'm interested to see what they taste like, because normally I just put chili flakes into the dish if I wanted chili or chili powder. So yeah, we'll see what it comes out like. Okay, so that's that. I think that's mixed up nicely. So what we're going to do now is put the lid on. Oops, there. And this is now going to go in the oven and we're going to leave it in there for 40 minutes. So here we go, in there. So that's in the oven, 40 minutes. Then we're going to come back, shake the potatoes. They should have softened up by that time, and when they are soft, if they're not, we leave them a little bit longer, but when they are, we're going to take the lid off and then put the whole thing back in the oven for a final 20 to 30 minutes in order to get a nice golden crust on the top of it. So I'll see you all in about 40 minutes time and we'll see how we're doing. Okay, that's been about 40 minutes, so let's have a look and see where we are. All right. Now then, what we need here is take the lid off. What we need is for these potatoes to be cooked, which they certainly, yep, okay, they're good. So I'm just going to put this to one side for a moment because we don't want the lid anymore now. Get that out of the way. What's going to happen now is this goes back in the oven with the lid off, and we're going to leave that for 25 minutes to brown off. So I'll see you again in another 25 minutes. Okay, so it's been 25 minutes and here you have the finished product. Looks absolutely delicious. So there you have it. If you want a really nice and tasty meal, then you can cook this at home, scalloped potatoes with tomatoes and chili anchovies. Enjoy! So that was it for today, and don't forget, as always, if you've enjoyed this content, remember to like, share and subscribe. You know it makes sense. See you next time.